Well, good evening. This is Julie White from Pennsylvania with LifeVantage, and I'm super excited that you guys have joined us tonight. Our Team LifeTree weekly Zoom every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's so helpful to stay plugged in. Encourage your team members to join this every week because staying plugged in helps us to be consistent with our business and helps us to just develop the skills that we need to be successful. So thanks so much for joining us. If you could just keep your lines muted, that would be great. Tonight, we're getting super excited about Elite Academy in Kansas City coming up. That's next week, and I hope to see you all there. Mark and Krista and Jackie live there, so it's going to be phenomenal having them there, and I know they have some exciting things in store for us. Mark, did you want to make any comment about that? I know we're going to go over most of the details next week, but did you have any comment you wanted to add?
Yes, so you're all invited to come hang out with us. We have a team dinner. Those details are still being worked out. You can imagine all the moving parts trying to coordinate with corporate and the convention center and finding a space. They've given us a room. We're just trying to make sure it's conducive to actually eating in the room. We think that there's been, well, I won't bore you with the details. We're still working on the space to be in the convention center. It will be a catered event. Watch the space. Right now it's scheduled for the Saturday lunch session. So hold that space. Don't book any other appointments or meetings or team times. Try to hold the Saturday lunch session for Team LifeTree and Jackie Shepard's team. And you're all invited. I don't have a cost yet. You can imagine it's not like saltines and peanut butter. We're gonna try to bring in some really good food, not too expensive, but some of those prices are set for us, obviously. So we'll keep it just as inexpensive as we can. But the main thing is to get together, right? So Saturday session, or after first general session, straight over to the room. I won't even give you the number yet because we're still working on those details. But yes, we're super excited to see somebody. Right now, it looks like Jackie's team, combined team, we have about 269 confirmed registrations for Elite Academy, which will make this our biggest team event we've ever had as well. So that's really fun. It's going to be
awesome.
So great to have that many people that we know and love in the same room, getting to hug on each other and meet each other, and it's just going to be good.
That's great. That's great. And Mark, have you heard about the Jump app that we're going to be using? Are you familiar with that?
I have. We launched a beta with Jump back in Denver, Charleston, a couple of events ago. And with some mixed success, Jackie wants, and I'm passing this along, I'm putting words in her mouth now, but she wants to make Jump a team platform over WhatsApp. So we do have some WhatsApp groups in Kansas City. I know other people are using WhatsApp for a prospecting tool, et cetera. But we want to give this particular format called The Jump. You will have received an email about that from Jackie that you're invited to if you're in her team. And that's going to be her preferred method of disseminating information, updates during Elite Academy Kansas City. Finalizing those details will be on The Jump. So if you want to know how to join, get with somebody that you know is already in the group, or you can go back and check her emails. And perhaps you're brand new and don't know anything about emails from your upline or from corporate. You need to change those settings in your back office. So log in with your distributor ID, your password, and it's going to give you a prompt that you've not yet set up your notifications. Do that and you'll start receiving those emails, and we'll send out another reminder on that, both with the information on Elite Academy Team Time and with a link to The Jump as well. If you have any problems, just private message me either through Facebook or WhatsApp, or however you can get a hold of me. If you got my text number, do that as well, and we'll get you set up.
Great. Thanks, Mark. And we're going to hear more specifics about Elite Academy next week. And a few weeks back, we had Jenny Crane on our team Zoom, and she shared about a network marketing trainer named Justin Prince. And I recently have taken a course with him, and I shared some of what I learned, and I'm going to share a little bit more tonight. So if you want to grab your notebook and your pen, and I'm going to share my screen here and share some of this information. It's super helpful. It's similar to what we've learned with Eric Worre. If you haven't read Eric Worre's Go Pro book, you definitely want to do that. So let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, can you guys see that okay? Bridget, can you give me a thumbs up? Do you see the screen? All right, thanks there, Bridget. All right, so I know a lot of us were always wondering, how can I do better to invite friends to take a look at what we have? So we're gonna go over a little bit about this tonight. And hey, Mark, I just wanna give you permission also just to jump in and add any comments that you might want to make here, because I know you have a lot of good input on this. But here are the 6 steps to inviting that I learned from Justin Prince. He did a great job with all of his training. If you guys ever have a chance to read any of his books or anything, or hear any of his training, I would encourage you to do that. But here we go, 6 steps to the inviting. 1, I really like this one, get to the point. 2, I thought of you because. 3, relieve the pressure. 4, if I, would you. We've also learned that from Eric Worre. 5, set up your follow-up in the invite. I've learned that from Jackie Shepard. And 6, end with vision. So first of all, get to the point. So now I've had people share with me, well, how do I contact somebody that I haven't talked to in a long time? Maybe I went to high school with them or whatever, because you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. You don't want to make them feel like you're ambushing them or awkward. So this is a great way to do it. Basically, you want to just be upfront. You want to get to the point. So you can say something like, I have an idea or a project or venture, whatever terminology you prefer to use. I have an idea that I want to run by you. But before we get into that, how are you? And that way you're letting them know, that you are calling them about something specific you want to share with them. But of course, we care about our friends and we want to know what's happening in their lives. And this is a relationship business, so this is like super important to do. So, and usually what happens is it's going to circle around. You're going to end up, having a conversation with them, catching up with each other, and they're going to be like wondering in the back of their mind, well, what did they really call me about? And they'll probably come around and say, hey, what's on your mind? What did you call me about? And then that'll give you an opportunity to share with them. I'm working on a project that I would love your feedback on, but before we get into that, how are you? So these are just some ideas of things you can say to people. And then the second thing is, I thought of you because. So I thought of you because, give a sincere compliment. Eric Worre also talks about giving a compliment. So I thought of you because, you're great with people. You love to help people. Any number of things, you want to make sure that it's sincere and that you really mean it. But a compliment really opens people's hearts and their minds to what you have to say. So, and a lot of times they're just few and far between. So this is a good way to begin your invite. Another approach would be, I'm launching a new business and I thought of you because. Now we want to remember when we're inviting, we're not, really selling, we're educating and informing people. We're giving them the information that they need so that they can make an intelligent decision, an informed decision for themselves about whether or not this is something for them. Okay, the third thing is relieve the pressure. It can make people feel pressured depending on how we approach this. So we always want to relieve the pressure by saying something like you see here on the screen. You may have an interest in this and you may not. And either way is fine. And this is where we have to really be emotionally detached from the outcome. So whatever the person decides to do, if they decide to do it or if they don't decide to do it, we need to be okay with that, knowing that there's lots of people in the world, and if we keep sifting and sorting, we will find the people that want to do this. And the lovely thing about it is it doesn't take a ton of people. Just a couple of people that'll do it with or without you will bring you success. Another way you could say it is, if this resonates with you, great. If not, it's completely fine. You could say, our friendship is not on the line. If this makes sense to you, great. If not, no worries. Or whether you join or not is okay. But I just want you to be crystal clear on what you are saying no to. So these are some ways that you can relieve the pressure with people, because even though we don't mean to pressure people, it's something that people can feel a little pressured when we approach them if we don't give them an out like this. This is something that you really want to include in your invitation. Okay, if I would you, this is permission-based marketing. We've learned this from Eric Worre. We had the privilege of hearing from Eric Worre at Elite Academy a couple years ago, and he's incredible. He has a lot of training online on YouTube and on his website that you can, really develop a lot of good skills from. I would encourage you to do that. Sometimes people say that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. In other words, there's really not a way to mess up the invitation. There is a little bit of truth to that, but honestly, I think that if we really work at developing our skills, and if we learn how to do this, and you learn as you go, it's not something that you have to have all down and pat ahead of time, but it can be helpful. So if I added you to a Facebook group, would you watch a quick primetime investigative report? We have our LifeTree Facebook group that we can use to have people check out the information. And you can change this to whatever your approach is. If I send you a link to a 10-minute primetime investigative report, would you watch it? So you want to build value into the tool, the information, by edifying the person in the tool. So one of the ways you can think about this is, how is this going to help solve a problem that they have? Because the goal is that ultimately you want them to want to watch it. So you want to get them to the place by asking them questions, by listening. You want to get them to the place where they really want to watch it. They're interested in watching it. They just aren't doing it to get you off their back. They really want to watch it. So you have to find out what their needs are, what their pain is, address that, build value into whatever tool you're using, so that they are interested, they want to watch it, they see the value in it, they see how maybe it can solve a problem that they're going through. Okay. Let's see here. Now this is something that's really important, and honestly, this is something that I have to work on. I do this, but sometimes it's a little bit tricky, but it's super important. So we really need to make every effort to do this when we are in contact with the people, because otherwise it feels like we're just bugging people. So, for example, when you watch this primetime investigative report, you're going to have some great questions. So here we're setting up positive expectation, which is what we always want to do. And I want to get you some answers while they are fresh on your mind. So we're basically serving people. So this is setting up positive expectation. So the primetime investigative report is only about 10 minutes. Does later today work, or is tomorrow better? So we want to get people to say yes. And so what we want to do here is get a time set up so that we're not like going back to them and saying, well, did you watch it yet? Or, Mary, are you there? It's that kind of a thing. So if we set up the follow-up right away before we end the conversation, it makes things a lot simpler. It goes a lot smoother and a lot quicker. If they tell you they will watch it when they can because they're just so busy, and I've had people say this to me, you can say something like, I know how busy we both are, and the last thing I want to do is try and track each other down. So let's just set a time to touch base once you've watched it. Does later today work, or is tomorrow better? Or is tomorrow better, or is next week better? Is morning better, or is afternoon better? Mark, do you have any comments on this one? If you're available.
Yeah, I think it's all incredible. I think I would add, going back 2 slides, one of the most powerful phrases I've learned from a few people smarter than me is when you're setting up the invitation to watch either the ABC primetime or a presentation of some type, I try to say something like, listen, and if you see what we saw, if you begin to understand why we would risk our reputation to do something like this, then it's something that we could totally do together, and I could see us really having fun doing this as well. So not to obligate somebody, but to set an expectation that this is something that we can actually do together. I mean, we're so enthusiastic about it. I can't wait, Julie, till you start bringing this stuff to Life Manage Academies, because it's great. I'm gonna shut up and turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, we want to end with vision. And this is kind of like what Mark was saying. If you see what I see, we can help a ton of people. If you see what I see, or you see what we see, we can have a lot of fun together. If you see what we see, we can make a lot of money together. If this resonates with you, we can help a lot of people together. So this is basically what I have to share on the invite. Does anybody have any questions or comments on anything? If you do, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can type it in the chat box.
I just wanted to add one more thing, Julie. Something that Clint Boyle said, and we've heard different forms of this over the years that we've been in, but he said it in the most crystalline, sort of pithy way. He said, people ask me all the time, do I lead with a product, or do I lead with a business? And he says, well, neither. You lead with your heart, because it's all about the person sitting in front of you. And we don't get to make the decision for them. And I thought that was really an excellent way of presenting, especially for the new distributor who really doesn't know what they're supposed to do. Do I follow sick people around? Do I tell them this is going to help them with their whatever, their chronic condition? Or am I looking for business partners? Well, the answer, of course, is both. But we're not the ones that get to determine what their decision is going to be, or even what they see. And so that's why I think this slide in particular is really helpful, because you're setting an expectation that this is why I'm sharing it with you, because at the end of the day, it's about helping you, of course, and your family. But ultimately, if we do this right, it's about changing the world and helping a whole ton of people as well. Of course, it's really hard for people to get their head around that the first time they sit down and they see it, but that's really leading with our heart, right? So I wanted to make sure I said that before we move on.
Great, Mark. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? questions or comments? Let's see, I'm going to stop my share for just a second here. Okay, now I can see the chat box. All right, I don't see any questions so far. All right, great. Okay. Okay, well, we can go a little bit farther here. Let's see. Need to get my screen back on here. Okay, there we are. Here we go. Thanks for your patience, guys. Okay, here's a little bit of information, a little bit more information on the follow-up. We'll just go over a little bit more, and then we'll be finished for tonight. So follow-up is super important. They say that only about 48% of people actually do follow up. However, 80% of the sales happen on the 5th to the 12th contact. So again, our job is to inform and educate, and most sales happen over a period of exposure. So this is like where the real work comes in with doing this business. And it's often the place where we can easily just drop the ball. So we need to have a system to follow up. We need to be able to keep track of the people that we're working with so we don't forget about them. But this is super important, because if we don't do this, we're probably going to lose a lot of people. Now, one of the things that we do in follow-up is handling concerns and questions. So if someone is in a conversation who is in control, the person who is in control is always the one that's asking questions and listening. And this is super important. I had someone share with me that it kind of really left an imprint on me back, I think I was about a Pro 4 at the time. And she said, you know, if you can learn to listen, you're going to be successful in this business. And that really left a big impression on me, because I hadn't thought about that much about it at that time. But listening to people, asking them questions, and being in control of the flow of conversation is really how we can help them. So we don't want to have questions like alarm us or, you know, be afraid of questions and concerns. He said, you know, that we should celebrate them, because this is how we can help them to make their decision about whether or not this is the right thing for them. And it actually lets us know where people are at. So we can't guide a person unless we know where they're at. It's kind of like trying to give somebody directions, but you don't know where they're at. Well, it's pretty much impossible. So asking the questions, listening, being glad when they ask a question, being glad when they can actually share a concern, because then, you know, then we can help them get their concerns and their questions resolved. Okay, here's some strategies and actually some scripts. And we've already learned a lot of this, but some people are new and may not have yet. But you know, after they review a video or presentation like the prime time, or they see a Zoom presentation, whatever, you know, we have given them, ask them what they like best. And this again is setting up the positive expectation. Asking them what they like best is going to be something positive. What did you like best about the three-way call or the three-way chat that we did on Facebook? Here's one that we've also learned from Eric Worre. Give me an idea. Where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 if you have no interest, 10 if you're so excited you can't sleep at night. So if they are, let's see here, whoops. If they are a 5 or above, or a 6 or above, you can say, well, that's awesome. What information do you need to, go from a 6 to a 10? Do you need more information about the comp plan? Do you need to talk to your spouse? What is it that you are looking for? He talked about a book called Swim with the Sharks. So I just wrote that down because it sounded like a very good book. And if they have a 5 or below, say, well, I appreciate you reviewing this information, and I understand how important life timing can be. So, and again, we need to be okay with whatever their decision is. We can say, well, let me ask you this. Would you be okay if I touch base with you in 2 to 3 months and keep you posted on how I'm doing? And again, here's where we need to have a follow-up system where we put it on our calendar and actually do touch base with them again. And when we get back in touch with them, we can say, I told you I would follow up, and I wanted to, just check back with you. We can share a success story or something like that with them. And this is where we've also learned that people are at high noon when they're ready. And usually, if they're not at high noon when we contact them, there's a very good possibility that at some point they will get to high noon. So that's another reason why it's important to stay in touch with people. Here's another thing. Give me an idea of where your head and heart are at. So your head is like, I don't know if I have enough time, but your heart, not sure I have the time, but I really would like to do this. So if we can connect their head and their heart for them, then we will, they will be ready to go. So play on whichever one they are good with. Here's a 4-step formula to overcome questions and concerns. Let me see how we're doing here for time. Okay, actually, I think I'm going to save this for another time, but this is some great information that we can go over at another time. There are a few announcements that I wanted to cover tonight, and then I don't know if Mark has anything else or not, but I don't want to go too long tonight just because there is a great webinar available coming up. Let me see here. How did I stop share? Okay, here we go. Okay, there's a great webinar coming up at 9 o'clock, and I want to give everybody just a few minutes to send a couple people a text message to see if they can get on the webinar, because webinars are a great way of sharing this information with people. And tonight, Pro 10 Gabe Pearson is doing a webinar, and he's having Dr. Brett Brimhall share on there about Axio and Protandim NRF2. And Brett is a phenomenal chiropractor. He's a Pro 7 in LifeVantage, and he's also on the Science Advisory Board. So that's at 9 p.m. tonight. The information, actually the ID, in case you don't have it, the ID is 333-512-135. That's 333-512-135. So if you go to Zoom and click on Join Meeting, you can type in that ID number. Also on Team LifeTree, remember to always check announcements and things on there, but on Team LifeTree is the registration for that. And then on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have our Team LifeTree presentation. And then on Saturday, Gabe Pearson is also doing a global training at 10 a.m. Eastern, and I will be posting that on Team LifeTree as well. So those are the announcements that I have. I know we also have heard some about the Cancun trip, and I think we're going to get you those details at a later point. They're just kind of rolling out, and there's a lot of details there to kind of familiarize ourselves with. Mark, back to you.
Yeah, so I saw that quite a few people had jumped on the call a little bit after we started, so I wanted to circle back and just let everybody know we will have a team lunch Saturday at Elite Academy, Kansas City. Bring your piggy bank because it's not going to be dirt cheap, but neither will it be super expensive. We're going to keep it as cheap as we can and still serve food. And we'll have speakers, and it'll be a fun time. Most of all, it's a chance to get everybody in one room at one time and love on each other and meet everybody. Jackie and we are very excited to obviously be hosting Kansas City Elite Academy. So looking forward to seeing everybody there next Saturday. There was one other thing I wanted to say. Oh my goodness. Oh, the jump. Yes. So the preferred platform for sharing information during Elite Academy Kansas City for our team is a platform called The Jump. That's a smartphone application. The link was sent by Jackie last week. So if you want those details, if you want to get on the jump, you want to be in the know about everything that's going on in our team for Kansas City, that's our forum. Of course, continue to use your Facebook posts and all that for publicity and promotion and all that. But Jackie really wants to make the jump, mostly because it's a secure platform. You're not going to get bombarded with advertisements. They're not going to sell your email address. It's a very quiet, secure, safe space for our team, and we like that. So with that, I think I've covered everything, and I'll turn it back over to you, Julie, to close us out. We love you guys, and we're looking forward to seeing the world in Kansas City next week. So excited.
Thanks, Mark. Yes. Hey, thanks everyone for being on our Zoom tonight. I hope you found this information useful, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Hope you have a great week this week. Blessings to you, and we love you all. Bye-bye.
Julie, would you repeat the number again? Would you repeat the number 333 what for Gabe?
333-512-135. Can you hear me?
I heard you. Thank you.
You know what? I'm just going to type it. I'll type it in the message box for you because it sounds like you're breaking up. There you go. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Bye for now.